You are professor for international law in University of Athens, but also a candidate for MPA of New Democracy. Mr. Sirigos, actually Professor Sirigos, what New Democracy is offering tomorrow to the Greek citizens?
The elections are coming after a period of 4.5 years of governance by Mr. Tsipras' government and the Syriza party. New Democracy proposes a totally different strategy in the governance of the country on the field of economics, how to flourish the economy, in the field of foreign policy, in the field of security, which is a very important issue for the big cities, in the management of the migration problem. These are some of the main problems.
What do you think that is the biggest mistake of this government, the biggest mistake of Tsipras during his ruling of the government?
I believe that the big mistake was that when he was in the opposition, he was extremely populist by proposing almost everything. It was a kind of Santa Claus who was bringing gifts to everybody, and when he came into power, he realized that this was not possible. So he continued the same rhetoric, but at the same time he followed the path of the various memoranda that were connected with the crisis, and he was responsible for the third memorandum signed by Greece, which have some very strict terms on the management of the Greek economy.
Do you think that the people are disappointed from these austerity measures? Because I saw that New Democracy, Mr. Micotakis, is offering the people the lowest wage from 750 euros per person.
Well, there is a long story about this lowest wage. But the main issue is not the lowest wage. It is generally how this government has managed things during the last 4.5 years. In almost all the fields. Economy is one of them. For example, this government came into power in 2015 saying that we're going to increase the lowest wage to 752 euros. They didn't. They came into power claiming that they were going to cut some of the very severe tax on property. They didn't. On the contrary, they increased them. They came into power saying that we are going to get rid of these various memoranda, and a new bright future is coming, and on the contrary, the country is still tied with these memoranda, which have been terminated only in theory. In practice, they still control the country. For example, the country must have a surplus of 3.5% per year, which is very big for Greek standards.
But just like you said, it's not just for economic crisis, but New Democracy is blaming Tsipras also for the fire in Mati last year, also for the migration problem, and also for the Prespa agreement. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Okay, the Prespa agreement or the Mati and the previous?
Everything.
Okay, about Mati, it was a national tragedy. 102 people died during a very extreme fire. The first question was how the apparatus of the state worked, how the mechanisms of the state worked. And it seems that they didn't work properly. The second question was how the state tried to manage the situation after the tragedy. And it seems that they had in mind only the image in the media, nothing else. They didn't care about the people. And it was something that offended a lot of people. It is interesting that none of the government for the first few days appeared in the TV to say, I'm deeply sorry for what happened and I resign from my post. This wasn't an onward. So Mati was a severe blow to the moral image of the government.
The migrant crisis.
The migrant crisis happened between January 2015 up to March 2016. In this case, we had two different reasons for the growing of the migration problem. The first was the idea of the Greek government that there are no borders between the states. The borders do not have to exist or something like this. So, people who were arriving were allowed to continue freely. And suddenly we had a corridor which was coming from Turkey to Greece and then via your country to Serbia and then to Central Europe. The second reason was the German government, which said...
The Balkan route.
No, this happened in February 2016. In August 2015, the German government said that we expect to have 800,000 people from Syria. So suddenly, a big wave of migrants tried to come from Turkey to the European Union.
What would you do differently from...
First of all, most of these people were not registered when they passed Greek borders, which is against EU rules. First of all, is the registration. Second is, from the moment they arrive in Greece, they have to be controlled where they go, what they do, they have to apply for asylum or not. If not, they have to return back to Turkey. It was a situation where nobody cared where they will go, what will happen with these people. And this lasted for 15 months. We have the Greek government from the one side, which offered the highway for these people to come to Central Europe, and then the German government who gave the impression that we want all these people to cross the borders, to come to our country and work here. Now about the Prespes agreement.
Yes.
The Prespes agreement, look, in your country you had the council of the parties, of the main parties, which discussed at least twice about the forthcoming agreement of Prespes. In Greece, nobody knew anything about the agreement until the time it was signed by the Greek government. That was the first problem. The second problem was that, so there were no discussions between the parties, the main parties of Greece, in advance of the signing of the agreement. In your country, if you remember, you had two councils where you discussed. In Greece, we didn't. And the problem is that the Prespes agreement has a lot of details which, instead of solving the problem, they continue it to the future.
Mr. Micotakis, during his last interview, said that the agreement, the Prespes agreement, can't be destroyed just by one side. What did he mean by that?
Okay, let me use the exact words.
Yes.
Okay. The first question is whether we can consider it as non-existing at the time of his signing, because it was as a result of threat, of bribery, of bad circumstances under which it was signed. This is not the case. The second question has to do whether this agreement, whether one of the two governments has the right to say that the agreement is null and void, to consider it as null and void. And the reply is at Article 19.9, if I remember well, which says that it can be null and void, with the exception of the articles concerning the name of the country, the name of the citizenship, and the name of the language. So the three main issues of the agreement cannot be touched.
So when Micotakis, if Micotakis will be the next prime minister, he won't change anything from this.
No, he has to respect the agreement and see whether certain things can change.
What can be changed?
There are many things. For example, I consider that I can start with the minor problems. I believe that there is a problem with the issue of the commercial names.
Trademarks.
And trademarks. And the issue of the origins of the products. These are some minor issues. Secondly, from my point of view, I consider as a serious thing the fact that the state is called North Macedonia, but the citizens of the state are not called North Macedonians.
So you think that can be changed in future?
I hope it will be changed. It will change. I know that it is very difficult because we have to convince you to change this, and it is very difficult to convince you. And we have lost the power. We have lost the tool of the NATO, of the entrance to NATO, of partnership to NATO.
Yes, that was the last step to finish the
Exactly. So now you entered NATO, and it is very difficult to convince you that you have to change this. But this is something very important.
Yes, but we're waiting a date for opening negotiation process with European Union.
Yes, but this is going to be a long process under any circumstances. It is not something that's going to happen in the next 1 or 2 years. It's a very long process. So I believe that under the present circumstances, we have to try to change the name of the citizenship and the name of the language of the country, but I understand that it is extremely difficult to achieve it. Many people, especially in northern Greece, in Macedonia, in Greek Macedonia, were really annoyed with the agreement, and this has been shown in the results of the elections.
One more thing about Prespa agreement, and we are finishing with that. Like I said, that North Macedonia now waits a date for opening negotiation process. They are hoping, the Macedonian government hopes that it will be this October. In fall, yes. If we get this date and we start the negotiation process, can New Democracy block our steps?
You have 35 different chapters for the so-called acquis communautaire. The Greek government and any government in the European Union has the right to veto the opening of the charter and the closing of the charter. And I believe that you will have problems with this, especially, for example, because there is this committee which examines the issue of the textbooks at schools. If it does not proceed fast, then you will have problems with, your state will have problems with the procedure in the European Union. I'm saying one of the issues. But I believe that you have problems with Bulgaria as well on these issues.
Yes.
It is not only Greece that has a problem.
Yes, and there are also agreements with Bulgaria. Tomorrow is the voting. According to the polls, Micotakis will be the next prime minister of Greece. But there are also they don't know yet if he will have absolute majority or not. What are your expectations?
It seems that he will have absolute majority. It seems that there is a big...
How many MPs do you expect?
In order to have an absolute majority, you need 151 MPs.
Yes.
So I believe we shall have more than 151, but I cannot predict how many we will have. But 151 is enough.
And I want to turn back. We started first with the economic questions. Before
Since you give me the privilege to speak to your television, I have to say something about the press space agreement. I fully understand that a lot of people in your country may feel offended by this agreement. But the same applies for many people in Greek Macedonia, who also feel offended by this agreement. And I believe that it was a bad negotiation, the fact that the issue has not been solved in an absolute manner. That means the name of the state to apply as an adjective for everything. The name North Macedonia to apply for the people, for the language, for the state, for everything. Because this continues the problem. From the other side, the Greek people has, we respect your nation, and we want to assist you, especially in the NATO process. And we believe that if there is a general understanding on the main issue, we can work together in the future, although the press space agreement is a bad agreement.
Yes. And the last question about these economic problems, this economic crisis. We know that actually we spoke this before our interview, that Greece stepped into economic crisis during Papandreou ruling of the government. After him was Samaras, then Tsipras. Do you think that Mitsotakis will be the real leader for the Greek citizens to solve their economic problems?
That's the hope. We hope that things will change, because the last 9 years were really dreadful for Greece. We lost almost 25% of our GDP. It is equal to the result of a war. We believe that a new process will come and prosperity will return back to Greece. And if prosperity comes back to Greece, because Greece is the biggest economy in the area, prosperity will come to the neighboring states as well.
Mr. Sirigos, Professor Sirigos, thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot.